I have updated this teaching a hold video to add narration on for our visually impaired members. Not all dogs find it easy to learn a hold. It took Bella months to learn a good hold, and one of the main reasons was because teaching her assistance dog tasks like giving me things and fetching things to hand. So whenever we tried to do a hold, she would just spit it back out at me. It just took patience and working slowly, second by second, adding duration to the hold. But now she'll hold something until I take it. So if you're struggling with a hold, don't be disheartened. You will get there. One of the most important things to remember when teaching a hold is not to force or put anything into your dog's mouth. That'll only create a negative association with the hold, and the hold itself could become aversive. So I like to teach a hold by using shaping, rewarding small steps towards the hold, and I like to let the dog set the pace and work out that putting it in their mouth gets them the reward. Start with an object that you know your dog will be comfortable with in its mouth, something like a soft toy, but it's better if the item has no reinforcement history. And also your dog has to choose to have the object in the mouth. So if you start with something hard like plastic or metal, then you're not setting your dog up for success. In this video, I start with a pom-pom, like a soft pom-pom, and Bella hasn't yet played with it. It's a new toy, so she has no reinforcement history there. And remember, in shaping, you're rewarding small steps towards the hold. So at first, you might just be rewarding a look or a head movement towards the item. I start by holding the pom-pom in front of Bella and at nose height, so that'll set her up for success. Then I start rewarding any interaction at all with the pom-pom. So here I've rewarded Bella for just looking at the pom-pom. Continue with a high rate of reinforcement, just rewarding any interaction with the pom-pom. This time I hold out a few seconds and wait for a little bit more interaction, and Bella actually touches the pom-pom with her nose. Again, continue rewarding that on a high rate of reinforcement. Once Bella is given some nice interaction with the pom-pom, I can hold out a few seconds longer again before I click, and Bella responds by slightly mouthing the pom-pom. Don't rush this step. It's far better to have your dog make the decision for themselves to put their mouth around the item, and don't be tempted to put the pom-pom into their mouth. Just keep holding it still. Bella's now mouthing the pom-pom more. Next, I hold out a little bit longer because I want Bella to mouth it a little bit harder with her mouth.
Good girl. Good girl.
Now that I can feel Bella is taking the pom-pom in her mouth rather than just touching it, I start to release my grip a little bit, just for a second or so, so that Bella has it in her mouth but my hand's still there. And at this point I'm not asking for any duration.
Good girl.
Here Bella takes the pom-pom but then she drops it. Now it doesn't matter at this stage if the pom-pom is dropped, even though that was my fault because I let go too soon. But this step's all about Bella taking the pom-pom into her mouth. Here Bella doesn't have hold of the pom-pom properly, so I hold out on the click until she puts her mouth around it properly and gets a hold. Now I can feel that Bella is tugging the pom-pom when I've got hold of it. So if I leave go, she has it in her mouth for a couple of seconds and then I'll put my hand back on it again. Here Bella drops the pom-pom again, but I just completely ignore that, and that way she's not either being rewarded for it or experiencing a negative. In the next clip, Bella starts to offer different behaviours. Why? Well, that's because I held out too long with the click. Bella is really a whiz at shaping and she'll freely offer other behaviours if she thinks one thing's not working. So she started to offer a paw and a wave. This was my fault because I moved on too quickly and asking for too much duration too soon. So it's important you need to know your dog and watch out for the signs that you may be moving on too quickly. So next time I make sure I click a second earlier so that she's getting marked and rewarded for the correct behaviour. The next step is to release my grip on the pom-pom. So instead of keeping my hand near to the pom-pom while it's in Bella's mouth, I hold my hand a little further back, and that's just to make sure that I know Bella has a hold of the pom-pom independently. And again, with this step, don't move on too quickly, take your time. It may just be that you can leave hold for a split second to start with.
Good girl. Good girl. You're very clever. Good girl.
It's important to start to generalise the hold early on so that the hold isn't just associated with one item. So once Bella's taking and holding the pom-pom, even just for a few seconds, I start to introduce some different objects. With new objects, start at the beginning again and reward any interaction, but you will probably find that your dog will start to offer hold pretty quickly. So here I've got a little small elephant teddy, and I'm rewarding any interaction with the new teddy. Just a look, a touch, but it doesn't take long for Bella to start to take it into her mouth.
Good girl. Good girl. Very good.
So now we're at the stage with the new item that Bella's taking hold and I'm leaving go with my hand and pulling my hand back.
Good girl.
So now Bella is taking and holding, I can introduce my cue. For a hold cue, I use take it, which means to Bella, take the object until I tell you what to do with it, basically. But you can use anything, any cue. To add the cue, say your cue, take it, or whatever you're using, before they take the item. It's important that you say the cue before the dog takes hold of the item.
Take it. Take it. Take it. Good girl. Very clever. Take it. Take it. Good girl.
Now I start to introduce some different objects. Again, with new objects, take a step back and reward any interaction. I'm starting with a wooden spoon. At first just holding it out and letting Bella touch it. Then she starts to mouth it. And then I hold the spoon so that it's easier, at an angle easier for her to get hold of. And then it doesn't take her long to be taking it in her mouth and holding it.
Good girl. Good girl. Very good.
Next, I start with a pen. Bella already knows how to hold pens because she picks them up while I drop them all the time. But if you have a dog that's not used to holding different textures in the mouth, when you're first starting to hold, always make sure that's something comfortable for the dog to start with until they're more experienced. Then next, I try a metal spoon. And a lot of dogs don't like to feel metal in their mouths, but Bella's never had a problem with that, so she holds it straight away pretty quickly.
Good girl. Very clever. Very good. Good girl. Very good, Bella. Very clever. You're funny.
And Bella just made me laugh there because she pulled a funny face.
Oh, that's very, very clever. 2 treats for that one. Very good. That's very gentle.
Some points I think you can hear the metal spoon making a noise on Bella's teeth. But now we're at the stage where she has it in her mouth and she keeps hold of it while I release my hand.
Very good.
Now I move on to an envelope or a letter, which is quite important if you want your assistance dog to go and pick the post up. And it's also teaching Bella that she holds the letter rather than some dogs like to rip the paper up. And Bella moves on with this one pretty quickly. She takes the letter in her mouth and holds it, no problem. As well as being very useful, Hold can make some very cute tricks. And it's also a good foundation for a lot of assistance tasks too.
Take it. Sit pretty. Good girl.
In this clip, I ask Bella to hold a little teddy and then sit pretty like in a fed position. And then she holds the teddy while she does a roll over.
Take it. Twist.
And holds the teddy while she does a spin. Next, you'll be adding duration. One good way to do that is to use a wait cue to get duration. If your dog already knows a wait cue, you can use that to add duration onto the hold. But you need to be absolutely sure that your dog knows what the wait cue means and also that the hold itself is reliable before you move on to adding another cue. So using the wait cue with Bella, I ask her to take the toy, so take it, and then I immediately ask her to wait and then say nothing, because Bella knows that wait means just wait until the next cue comes along.
Take it, wait,
Once you've got
They look
some
great.
duration, you can add in a little bit of distraction. So here I ask Bella to take the teddy, ask her to wait, and then I start moving my arms about and my body
Good
about,
girl.
just doing some distraction generally.
Very